Okay, I'm going to start on page 416. According to the Vedanta, Brahman alone is real, and all else is Maya, dreamlike and unsubstantial. The ego, like a stick, lies across the ocean of Satchidananda. To M, listen to what I'm saying. When this ego is taken away, there remains only one undivided ocean of Satchidananda. But as long as the stick of ego remains, there is an appearance of two. Here is one part of the water, and there another part. Attaining the knowledge of Brahman, one is established in samadhi. Then the ego is effaced. But Shankaracharya retained the ego of knowledge in order to teach men. Now there's a footnote on that, the ego of knowledge. The ego, illumined and purified by the knowledge of God, following the method of discrimination, the jnani, in samadhi, merges his ego in Brahman. Thereafter, he may come down to the relative plane with an appearance of individuality, but even then he is always conscious of his identity with Brahman. This apparent ego is called the ego of knowledge. A bhakta, following the path of love, realizes his eternal relationship with God. He too keeps an appearance of individuality on the relative plane. This ego has none of the characteristics of the worldly ego and is called the ego of devotion. The two egos here described refer to the same state of realization. Absolutely no difference. But there are signs that distinguish the man of knowledge. Some people think they have knowledge. What are the characteristics of knowledge? A jnani cannot injure anybody. He is like a child. If a steel sword touches the philosopher's stone, it is transformed into gold. Gold can never cut. It may seem from the outside that a jnani also has anger and egotism, but in reality, he has no such thing. From a distance, a burnt string lying on the ground may look like a real one, but if you come near and blow on it, it disappears altogether. The anger and egotism of a jnani are mere appearances. They are not real. A child has no attachment. He makes a playhouse, and if anyone touches it, he will jump about and cry. The next moment, he himself will break it up. This moment, he may be very attached to his cloth. He says, "My daddy has given it to me. I won't part with it." But the next moment, you can cajole him away from it with a toy. He will go away with you, leaving the cloth behind. These are the characteristics of a jnani. Perhaps he has many luxuries at home, couch, chairs, paintings, and equipage. But any day he may leave all these and go off to Benares. According to Vedanta, the waking state too is unreal. Once a woodcutter lay dreaming when someone woke him up. Greatly annoyed, he said, "Why have you disturbed my sleep? I was dreaming that I was a king and the father of 7 children. The princes were becoming well-versed in letters and military arts. I was secure on my throne and ruled over my subjects. Why have you demolished my world of joy?" "But that was a mere dream," said the other man. "Why should that bother you?" "Fool," said the woodcutter, "you don't understand. My becoming a king in the dream was just as real as is my being a woodcutter. If being a woodcutter is real, then being a king in a dream is real also." Krishna always talked about jnana. Was this why the master described the state of the jnani? Now he proceeded to describe the state of the vijnani. Master, jnana is the realization of self through the process of neti-neti. Not this, not this. One goes into samadhi through this process of elimination and realizes the Atman. But vijnana means knowledge with a greater fullness. Some have heard of milk, some have seen milk, and some have drunk milk. He who has merely heard of it is ignorant. He who has seen it is a jnani, but he who has drunk it has vijnana, that is to say, a fuller knowledge of it. After having the vision of God, one talks to him as if he were an intimate relative. That is vijnana. First of all, you must discriminate, following the method of neti neti. He is not the five elements, nor is he the sense organs, nor the mind, nor the intelligence, nor the ego. He is beyond all these cosmic principles. You want to climb to the roof? Then you must eliminate and leave behind all the steps, one by one. The steps are by no means the roof. But after reaching the roof, you find that the steps are made of the same materials, brick, lime, and brick dust, as the roof. It is the Supreme Brahman that has become the universe and its living beings and the 24 cosmic principles. That which is Atman has become the 5 elements. You may ask why the earth is hard if it has come out of Atman. All is possible through the will of God. Don't you see that bone and flesh are made from blood and semen? How hard sea foam becomes. After attaining vijnana, one can live in the world as well. Then one clearly realizes that God himself has become the universe and all living beings, that he is not outside the world. To Krishna, the fact is that one must have the spiritual eye. You will develop that eye as soon as your mind becomes pure. Take, for instance, the Kumari Puja. I worshipped a virgin. The girl, to be sure, had all her human imperfections. Still, I regarded her as the Divine Mother herself. On one side is the wife, and on the other the son. Love is bestowed on both, but in different ways. Therefore, it comes to this, that everything depends upon the mind. The pure mind acquires a new attitude. Through that mind, one sees God in the world. Therefore, one needs spiritual discipline. Yes, spiritual discipline is necessary. You should know that a man becomes easily attached to a woman. A woman naturally loves a man, and a man also naturally loves a woman. Therefore, both fall speedily from their spiritual ideal. But it also must be said that there is a great advantage in leading the life of a householder. In case of urgent necessity, a man may live with his wife, smiling. Well, M, what are you smiling? Why are you smiling? M to himself. The master makes this much allowance for householders, since they cannot renounce everything. Is complete and absolute continence impossible for a householder? The Hati Yogi who had been living in the Panchavati entered the room. He was in the habit of taking milk and opium. He did not eat rice or other food and had no money to buy the milk and opium. The master had talked with him in the Panchavati. The Hatha Yogi had told Rakal to ask the master to make some provision for him, and Sri Ramakrishna had promised to speak about it to the visitors from Calcutta. Hati Yogi to the master, what did you say to Rakal about me? Master, I said that I would ask some rich visitors to help you, but to Krishna, you perhaps do not like these yogis. Krishna remained silent. The Hati Yogi left the room and the conversation went on. Master to Pran Krishna and the others. If a man leads a householder's life, he must have unflagging devotion to truth. God can be realized through truth alone. Formerly, I was very particular about telling the truth, though now my zeal has abated a little. If I said I shall bathe, then I would get into the water of the Ganges, recite the mantra, and sprinkle a little water over my head. But still there would remain some doubt into me as whether my bath was complete. Once I went to Ram's house in Calcutta. I happened to say, I shall not take any luchi. When I sat down for the meal, I felt hungry, but I'd said I would not eat the luchi, so I had to fill my stomach with sweets. I'll laugh. But my zeal for truthfulness has abated a little now. Once I said I would go to the pine grove, but then I had no particular urge to go. What was to be done? I asked Ram. He was the priest at one of the temples. I asked Ram about it. He said I didn't have to go. Then I reasoned to myself, well, everyone is Narayana, so Ram too is Narayana. Why shouldn't I listen to him? The elephant is Narayana, no doubt, but the mahout is Narayana too. Since the mahout asked me not to go near the elephant, then why shouldn't I obey him? Through reasoning like this, my zeal for truthfulness is slightly less strong now than before. I find a change coming over me. Years ago, Vaishnavacharan said to me, one attains perfect knowledge when one sees God in man. Now I see that it is God alone who is moving about in various forms, as a holy man, as a cheat, as a villain. Therefore I say, Narayana in the guise of the sadhu, Narayana in the guise of the cheat, Narayana in the guise of the villain, Narayana in the guise of the lecher. Now we all know Narayana is another name for the Lord. Now my problem is how I can feed all of you. I want to feed everyone. So I keep one at a time with me and feed him. Pran Krishna, looking at him and smiling, a fine man indeed. To the master, he would not let us go till we put him ashore. Master smiling, why, what happened? Pran Krishna, he was in our boat. Seeing that the river was slightly rough, he insisted on being put ashore. To him, how did you come? Him smiling, on foot. Ramakrishna laughed. Pran Krishna to the master, Sir, I am thinking now of giving up my work. One who is involved in activity cannot accomplish anything. Pointing to his companion, I am training him to do my work. After I resign, he will relieve me. Work has become intolerable. Master, yes, work is very troublesome. It is now good for you to meditate on God for a few days in solitude. No doubt you say that you would like to give up your work. Captain said the same thing. Worldly people talk that way, but they don't succeed in carrying out their intention. There are many pundits who speak words of wisdom, but they merely talk. They don't live up to them. They are like vultures which soar very high, but keep their gaze on the charnel pit. What I mean is that these pundits are attached to the world, to lust and greed. If I hear that pundits are practicing discrimination and dispassion, then I fear them. Otherwise, I would look upon them as mere goats and dogs. Pran Krishna saluted the master and took his leave. He said to M, will you come with us? M, no, sir. Catch me going with you again? Goodbye. Pran Krishna laughed and said, I see you won't come on in the boat. M took a little stroll near the Panchavati and bathed in the river. Then he went to the temples of Radhakanta and Kali and prostrated himself before the images. He said to himself, I have heard that God has no form. Then why do I bow before these images? Is it because Sri Ramakrishna believes in gods and goddesses with form? I don't know anything about God, nor do I understand him. The Master believes in images. Then why shouldn't I too, who am so insignificant a creature, accept them? M looked at the image of Kali. He saw the Divine Mother holds in her two left hands a man's severed head and a sword. With her two right hands, she offers boons and reassurance to her devotees. In one aspect, she is terrible. In another, she is the ever-affectionate mother of her devotees. The two ideals are harmonized in her. She is compassionate and affectionate to her devotees, to those who are submissive and helpless. It is also true that she is terrible, the consort of death. She alone knows why she assumes two aspects at the same time. M remembered this interpretation of Kali given by the Master. He said to himself, I have heard that Keshav accepted Kali in Sri Ramakrishna's presence. Is this, as Keshav used to say, the goddess, all spirit and consciousness, manifesting herself through a clay image? M returned to the Master's room and sat on the floor. Sri Ramakrishna offered him some fruit and sweets to eat. On account of trouble in the family, M had recently rented a house in another section of Calcutta, near his school, his father and brothers continuing to live in the ancestral home. But Sri Ramakrishna wanted him to return to his own home, since a joint family affords many advantages to one leading a religious life. Excuse me. Once or twice the Master had spoken to M to this effect, but unfortunately he had not yet returned to his family. Sri Ramakrishna referred to the matter again. Master, tell me that you are going to your ancestral home. M, I can never persuade myself to enter that place. Master, why? Your father is making over the whole house. M, I have suffered too much there. I can by no means make up my mind to go there. Master, whom do you fear? M, all of them. Master, seriously, isn't that like your being afraid to get into the boat? The midday worship and offering of food in the temples was over. The bells, gongs, and cymbals of the arati were being played, and the temple garden was filled with joyful activity. Beggars, sadhus, and guests hurried to the guest house for the noonday meal, carrying leaf or metal plates in their hands. M also took some of the prasad from the Kali temple. Sri Ramakrishna had been resting a while after his meal when several devotees, including Ram and Girindra, arrived. They sat down after saluting the Master. The conversation turned to the new dispensation church of Keshav Chandra Sen. Ram to the Master, Sir, I don't think the Navavedan has done people any good. If Keshav Babu himself was a genuine man, why are his disciples left in such a plight? I don't think there's anything at all in the new dispensation. It is like rattling some potsherds in a room and then locking it up. People may take it to be the jingling of coins, but inside there's nothing but potsherds. Outsiders don't know what is inside. Master, there must be some substance in it. Otherwise, why should so many people respect Keshav? Why isn't Shiva not honored as much as Keshav? Such a thing cannot happen without the will of God. But a man cannot act as a Acharya teacher without renouncing the world. People won't respect him. They will say, "Oh, he is a worldly man. He secretly enjoys lust and greed himself, but tells us that God alone is real and the world unsubstantial like a dream." Unless a man renounces everything, his teachings cannot be accepted at all. Some worldly people may follow him. Keshav led the life of a householder. Hence, his mind is directed to the world also. He had to safeguard his family interests. That is why he has left his affairs in such good order, though he delivered so many religious lectures. What an aristocratic man he married his daughter to. Inside Keshav's inner apartments, I saw many big bedsteads. All these things gradually come to one who leads a householder's life. The world is indeed a place for enjoyment. Ram, Keshav Sen inherited those bedsteads when his ancestral property was divided. And for Keshav to take part in the division of property, whatever you may say, sir, Vijay Babu told me that Keshav had said to him, "I am a partial manifestation of Christ and Gauranga. I suggest that you declare yourself as a Dvaita." Do you know what else he said? He said that you too were a follower of the new dispensation. I'll laugh. Master laughing. Who knows? But as for myself, I don't even know what the term new dispensation means. I'll laugh. Wrong. Keshav's disciples say that he was the first to harmonize jnana and bhakti. Master, in surprise, how is that? What then of the Adhyatma Ramayana? It is written there that while praying to Rama, Narada said, "O Rama, thou art the supreme Brahman described in the Vedas. Thou dwellest with us as a man. Thou appearest as a man. In reality, thou art not a man. Thou art the supreme Brahman." Rama said, "Narada, I am very much pleased with you. Accept a boon from me." Narada replied, "What boon shall I ask of thee? Grant me pure love for thy lotus feet, and may I never be deluded by thy world-bewitching Maya." The Adhyatma Ramayana is full of statements regarding jnana and bhakti. The conversation turned to Amrita, a disciple of Keshav. Ram. Amrita Babu seems to be in very bad shape. Master. Yes, he looked very ill when I saw him the other day. Ram. Sir, let me tell you about the lectures of the new dispensation. While the drum is being played, the members cry out, "Victory unto Keshav." You say that Dal grows only in a stagnant pond. This word has two different meanings, according to the footnote. One means sedge, like the weeds that grow in a pond, and the other means a sect, like a sect of a religion. So Amrita said one day in the course of his sermon, "The holy man," referring to Sri Ramakrishna, "has no doubt said that Dal grows in a stagnant pond. Brothers, we want Dal. We want a sect. Really and truly, I tell you that we want a sect." Master, what nonsense. Shame on him. What kind of sermon is that? The conversation drifted to the desire of some people for praise. Master, they took me to Keshav's house to see a performance of the Nimai Sannyasa. I heard that day someone speaking of Keshav and Pratap as Chaitanya and Nityananda. Prasanna asked me, "Who are you then?" Keshav looked at me to see what I would say. I said to him, "I am the servant of your servant, the dust of your feet." Keshav said with a smile, "You can't catch him." Ram, Sometimes Keshav used to say you were John the Baptist. Master, a devotee. But Keshav also said you were the Chaitanya of the 19th century, said in English. Master, what does that mean? Devotee, that Chaitanya has been incarnated again in the present century of the Christian era, and that you are he. Master, absent-mindedly, what of it? Can you tell me how my arm can be cured? The arm is worrying me so much. Ramakrishna had broken his arm. They talked about Trilokya's music. Trilokya sang devotional songs in Keshav's Brahmo Samaj. Master, how nice his songs are. Ram, do you think they're genuine? Master, yes, they are. Otherwise, why should I be so drawn to them? Ram, he has composed his songs by borrowing your ideas. While conducting the worship, Keshav Sen described your feelings and realization, and Trilokya Babu composed songs accordingly. Take this song, for instance. There is an overflow of joy in the marketplace of love. See how the Lord sports with his own in the ecstasy of bliss. He saw you enjoying divine bliss in the company of devotees and wrote songs like this. Master, with a smile, stop. Don't torment me anymore. Why should I be involved in all of this? All laughed. Girinda, the Brahmos say that the Paramahamsa has no faculty for organization. These words were said in English. Master, what does that mean? M. That you don't know how to lead a sect, that your intellect is rather dull. They say things like that. All laugh. Master to Ram, now tell me why my arm is hurt. Stand up and deliver a lecture on that. Laughter. And the Brahmos insist that God is formless. Suppose they do. It is enough to call on him with sincerity of heart. If the devotee is sincere, then God, who is the inner guide of all, will certainly reveal to the devotee his true nature. But it is not good to say that what we ourselves think of God is the only truth, and that what others think is false. That because we think of God as formless, therefore he is formless and cannot have any form. That because we think of God as having form, therefore he has form and cannot be formless. Can a man really fathom God's nature? This kind of friction exists between the Vaishnavas and the Shaktas. The Vaishnava says, my Keshava is the only savior, whereas the Shakta says, my Bhagavati is the only savior. Once I took Vaishnavacharan to Mathur Babu. Now Vaishnavacharan was a very learned Vaishnava and an orthodox devotee of his sect. Mathur, on the other hand, was a devotee of the Divine Mother. They engaged in a friendly discussion. Then suddenly, Vaishnavacharan said, Keshava is the only savior. No sooner did Mathur hear this than his face became red and with anger, and he blurted out, you rascal. He was all laugh. He was a Shakta. Wasn't it natural for him to say that? I gave Vaishnavacharan a nudge. I see people who talk about religion constantly quarreling with one another. Hindus, Muslims, Brahmos, Shaktas, Vaishnavas, Shaivas all quarrel with one another. They haven't the intelligence to understand that he who is Krishna is also Shiva, the primal Shakti, and that it is he again who is called Jesus and Allah. There is only one Rama, and he has 1,000 names. Truth is one, only it is called by different names. All people are seeking the same truth. The variance is due to climate, temperament, and name. A lake has many ghats. From one god, the Hindus take water in jars and call it jal. From another god, the Muslims take water in leather bags and call it pani. From a third, the Christians take the same thing and call it water. All laugh. Suppose someone says the thing is not jal, but pani, or that it is not pani, but water, or that it is not water, but jal. It would indeed be ridiculous. But this very thing is at the root of the friction among sects, their misunderstandings and quarrels. This is why people injure and kill one another and shed blood in the name of religion. But this is not good. Everyone is going toward God. They will all realize Him if they have sincerity and longing of heart. To M, this is for you. All scriptures, the Vedas, the Puranas, the Tantras, seek Him alone and no one else. Only that one Satchidananda. That which is called Satchidananda Brahman in the Vedas is called Satchidananda Shiva in the Tantra, and again, He alone is called Satchidananda Krishna in the Puranas. And we're going to stop there for today. Are there any questions or comments about what we have read? Okay. No comments or observations? Then we'll end with a chant. Tomorrow's lecture is What is Your Philosophy? By Swami Vedarupananda. And Wednesday, whatever the date is, we'll have our reading on Swami Akhandananda. Saturday, we'll have our gospel reading next week. And, Akhandananda. Didn't I say that? I thought I did. Swami Akhandananda on Wednesday at 5. Okay, then we'll end with kind of a chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.